Where do you think the light bulb went on where they recognized something of what he was claiming?
After the resurrection, and because of the resurrection, the disciples began to realize that this person is completely different. He's not like one of the prophets. It did not take any human agency to raise him from the dead. And ultimately, I think it was the Apostle Paul who, because of his conversion on the road to Damascus, now he is set up with two different kinds of conflicts. One is, I know that God has cursed this man. How do I know that? Because Deuteronomy chapter 21 says that cursed is every man who hangs on a tree. And so Paul was unswervingly committed to what the Bible taught. And that's why he was so passionately against Christians. Because if God has cursed this man by hanging him on a tree, how can you Christians say he has blessed him by raising him from the dead? The only thing that could possibly convince Paul is exactly what did convince Paul. Here he is on the road to Damascus, and he has this revelation. He sees Christ in heaven, and he says, Lord, who are you? I'm the one you've been persecuting. Now he has two truths that he has to figure out. One is that God must have cursed him. That's what the Bible teaches. The other is God must have blessed him. That's what my indisputable experience tells me had happened. It takes him time to go to Arabia, 3 years to sort all this out, and ultimately where Paul goes with this is he recognizes, therefore, that Jesus could not have died for his own sins, and therefore he had to be sinless. Consequently, if he was sinless, what category does that make him? Is he just a mere man? That's not going to work. And at some time, it takes a little bit of time, and I won't get into that right now, but at some point he begins to recognize it because Jesus Christ died as a substitution for our sins. Therefore, he must be in a category all by himself, which is going to be genuine deity.